You didn't talk about it. So if you don't have an older sibling or a mom or someone, if you don't have someone out there to talk, if you have questions as you get older, obviously for women, working women, you get tired, you have children, things change, and you don't have anyone to ask questions or a resource.
I mean, sex isn't the most important part of a relationship, but it's an important part of a relationship. And so if that is lacking because of medical issues or whatever the case may be, I can only imagine that, finding relief in that aspect of your life would be emotional for some of these people.
Like, you never know whose life you're changing when they come into the door, that they're having issues and they don't know where to go. And it's all about, you don't know what you don't know.
We're Erika Marie and Marie Lifschultz, a San Antonio area realtor and lender, but most importantly, we're working moms.
The goal of this podcast is to provide support and a sense of community to San Antonio area working moms like us. So join us in trying to find a balance between career, family, and everything in between.
Welcome to this episode of the Working Moms of San Antonio podcast. We've got a guest on, Amy Gonzalez, and she's a certified sex educator and owner of Love Shack Boutiques. So I'm going to just turn it over to her and have her kind of introduce herself and let us know what she does.
Hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Amy Gonzalez. I'm the proud founder, owner, and certified sex educator at Love Shack Boutique, located here in San Antonio, Texas. We have been open now for 11 years. This past year, I actually expanded and opened up my second store on the far northwest side of town. Our first location's located in the medical center area, as well as we have an event center that we have had since, we've been open since 2011. We opened up our event center in 2018. And then expanded in 2022. So we have a lot of things going on right now, but and we also have an online store as well that you can get. You can purchase products. We do curbside pickup. We also have, it's education based. We're all about education. So that's a little some about me. I can elaborate a little bit more, but I know we're going to be going through some stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So 11 years, that's a good long while. How did you get into the sex education industry?
Okay, so I started off doing like at-home parties. Like, if anybody's familiar with like passion parties or pure romance, a representative comes to your house or your friend's place or whatever, and shows items like Tupperware, right? And presents and talks about stuff, pass around stuff. Everybody's laughing and giggling like that. Sometimes there's snacks and some drinks involved, and it could be just because or for a bride to be or whatnot. And then, we had like a separate area and people would place their orders and get their goodies. And I got to start doing that to supplement my income while I was going to school. I was working full time at USAA, and I was going to school at UTSA. And I was like, I don't want to have a bunch of student loans. I want to supplement my income. And I had plenty of flexibility at that time. So I started doing these home parties, and I started doing them. I was rather young. I started doing them in 2001 when I was like 20. I don't know, I was 23, 20 something. And and I just did them, and I just was doing them every weekend. I was working full time. I graduated from school, and I was like, I'm just gonna focus on my career. I'm just gonna focus. My background's in HR. It's like, I'm just gonna focus on my career, and I did. And then I just couldn't get away from these home parties, and I always heard the same thing from people. And the number one thing was, do you have a storefront? And I'd be like, no. And they're like, well, what if I want to reorder stuff? There's nowhere nice here in San Antonio to go. And so I was like, so I went to every adult store, boutique that was set up, and I was like, yeah, they're not welcoming, they're not comfortable. I wouldn't feel comfortable going in with myself or my spouse or whatever. And so I was like, the saying is, I could do better, right? So I went to Austin, Dallas, Houston, LA, Vegas. I met other women business owners. I saw how they were set up. And I was like, and it was probably about a good 3-4 year process for me to get my financials together and get a business loan and all that. But I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go all in. Like, I'm going to literally quit my day job, and I'm going to put everything in. And then if it's successful, then I'm like, I put everything in, and if it's not, at least I tried.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I I opened up the store in 2011, and I stopped working my full-time job and just gave it my all. And here we are in 2023, and I'm 2 stores later and an event room, and I have about a staff of about 5. So yeah, I'm rocking and rolling. But yeah, it all got
Yeah.
started with home parties. Who would have thought? And I tell people, you never know what your side hustle is going to produce,
Right.
whether it be, extra income for you and your family, or, able to pay for your
Yeah.
college, or maybe make it a full-time job. It's all about finding your passion. And I am very passionate about my career. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's so true. You just always find that you just never know what way life is going to lead you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, who would have thought? I
Yeah.
laugh how people always say, like, what made you want to open up a store like this? And I'm like, a need, a need for these items, and for people to be able to access them. And it's just evolved into a whole education thing. I do have a bachelor's degree from UTSA. And then as I was in this field, and as I was people would come in, and I just assumed, oh, I'm just gonna sell, we're just gonna sell lingerie and adult items. And no, we came in with people having issues. And I've had a child, and I'm having pain during sex, and I don't know where to go. So we've actually evolved into a resource. So I tell my employees, like, you never know whose life you're changing when they come into the door, that they're having issues and they don't know where to go. And it's all about, you don't know what you don't know. So then I started pursuing to become a educator, not so much a therapist, or there's called like coaching. I wanted just to be the education part of it. So I went in and decided to become certified as a sex educator.
Okay.
So
Yeah. And what does that certification process look like?
So you have to, and there's different certifications that you can get. The one that went into, I had to provide my degree. I had to kind of have a mentor who is a
Yeah.
sex therapist, kind of vouch for me, and some of the stuff I've done in the community, how long I've been in the industry, and there's certain things that you have to kind of go through. But yeah, I in a nutshell, yeah, I provided my credentials. And
Yeah.
then I kind of went through and, gave my resume of stuff, and then had my sex therapist that kind of mentors me, that's mentored me
Yeah.
for some years now, kind of guide me through the process as well.
Wow. That's
Right.
actually, that sounds so lengthy. You
Yes,
just,
it is.
Yeah, yeah, it was. But I was like, I got some time on my hands, and that's going to be a goal of mine, and I'm going to go ahead and knock it out. So
that's
yes,
awesome.
Well, Amy, when we met previously, I was telling you, like, it's a taboo conversation, right?
yes.
Growing up, my parents, you didn't talk about it. You didn't
Hmm.
talk about it. So if you don't have an older sibling or a mom or someone, if you don't have someone out there to talk, if you have questions as you get older, obviously for women, working women, you
Hmm.
get tired, you have children, things change, and you don't
Yes,
have anyone to ask questions or a resource.
yes,
So I'm here sitting there for like 10 minutes not talking because I'm absolutely fascinated with with your store and what you're doing. So
yes.
what are some, you had mentioned in a previous conversation that even physicians, gynecologists, and OBGYNs are refer sometimes clients to your stores because they can find product or maybe find some additional help. What are some things
Yes.
like that that can help women or working moms?
So sometimes people don't, like, they go, I'll just give you a kind of a general example. Like, you go see your gynecologist, right? And you go see your gynecologist, and you're there for your
Mhm.
annual, and maybe you have a question on, hey, I'm having a little bit of pain or discomfort during sex, or hey, I noticed, ever since I had my second child, things haven't been working the same. A lot of the times, and I've heard it from people, that they're like, the gynecologists are like, okay, but your pap smear came out normal. We'll see you next
You're
year.
good.
Yeah, you're good, everything's okay. Like, and they're like, oh, I don't know where to go. And we have, I'm working with pelvic floor doctors, there's pelvic floor physical therapists, there's urologists, there's a gynecologist, obviously. So I kind of, they either found us or because of doctors that I've reached out to, or even it really started out with my own gynecologist. My own gynecologist, who is fabulous. I told her what I was doing, and she was like, I've been looking for a place to send my patients because they need lubricant and then dilators. And then oh yeah, dilators. That's right. That's another thing. And it's maybe where
Yeah.
somebody's got their cancer or had a procedure or age or whatever that they have, that their vagina is tightening, and it's not a good tightening. It's where it's uncomfortable to have sex or even maybe get an annual done or a tampon, and some people have that, whether they've had chemo or radiation or
Yeah.
whatever other things could have happened, that is causing that. And that's something that the dilators look like. They look like they're either made out of silicone or plastic, like a TPR or TPE, the material, and they're just to help go in, kind of like, think of like a tampon, and it's just to get your body used to something being there, and then slowly you can progress to where you have larger ones. And
Mhm.
so, anyhow, I got into a whole topic about dilators,
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
but so my gynecologist, so then I started talking to some of the manufacturers, and I'm like, hey, do you guys think you could, I'm not going to resell them, but do you think you can give me some samples of lubricant and testers? And so I can give these doctors. And so that's been my quest now, is like, when I talk to different manufacturers, is, do you provide testers? Like, I'm working with doctors in the medical field, and anything that's medical, like there are devices like medical dilators, but unlike the ones that we carry in our store that range anywhere from maybe like 30 to $100, anything medical is like, oh, it's $500, and oh, by the way, your insurance doesn't cover it. So just because it has that medical name, but it's the same product. So I'm like, if I can get those in my store and make them available
People
to
can.
yeah, to my customers and also to these physicians, it's kind of a win-win for everybody, and they have a comfortable, nice place to come into. And my staff, we're all in the education. I'm all about education. Anybody that gets hired with us, before they even get on the floor and sell anything, they have about 6 to 8 weeks of training. And that training includes getting to know the product lines, getting to know what the products are made of. We have people come into the store, we're about education, and we ask questions, and we're not doing that to be nosy. We're kind of doing that to guide them on making the right purchase, because a lot of the times we hear people say, I don't want lubricant. Why not? I used something and it made me burn. Okay, what did you use? I used KY jelly and Astroglide. Okay, a lot of those have a lot of chemicals in them that are not good for our body. Some people don't have a reaction, but some
Mm.
people do. Most people do, because they have glycerin and paraben and stuff that doesn't work well with our body. So we have items that are lubricants that don't have any of those products. They're good for sensitive people, or hey, I want something warming or cooling or flavored, or something for massage that I can use as a lubricant. So we have a whole bunch of different stuff. So my employees are all trained on that, trained on material, trained on anatomy, because we are education, and now with the gynecologists and with the doctors, I go and I present to them, and I present to several doctors, and I'll give them like coupon cards that these clients can use to either, hey, these are our locations, or they can order online, which is discreet shipping, or they could do curbside pickup. But when they come inside the store, speaking about taboo or
Mhm.
being shameful or whatnot, they come in and they have, they come in like this, right, with the card. And we already know, we're like, and then we're there talking to them and showing them stuff. And, we have testers so they can smell, taste, touch. And hey, when you can use that coupon and anything else.
Mhm.
And then by the time they're checking out, they're like, I didn't know I was making this such a big deal. Like,
Yeah.
I love this place, or, y'all were so great and
Yeah.
this and that. But it's because, a lot of the times, whatever reason, it's shameful, or you're embarrassed, or, we didn't talk about this.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and then they wind up coming back and they're like, oh my gosh, just lubricant alone has changed my life, and we've had grown women and men like cry in the store, like, like, oh my gosh, this item changed my life, or oh my gosh, I'm so glad I found you guys, or, now I'm able to, enjoy sex again, and it was so painful, or, I was
Yeah.
having marital problems, or, because it's all about sexual health, wellness, and pleasure. And a lot of people take that like, like, no, but it's a a lot of people's lives,
Mhm.
is like feeling good, whether you're connecting to yourself or your partner or whatever you got going on, it plays you don't, some people are just like, oh no, I'm fine, I'm good. But then when you have issues, sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, like, what do I do now?
Yeah. Well, I love the fact that you're located in the medical center. I mean, you're really, really,
Mhm,
really close to it.
mhm.
And there growing up, because I grew up in the area, and there's one across the highway that I remember as a kid seeing it, and I remember driving, and my mom like, no, 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 we don't go in there. That's not a place, and it's and it's an adult, and typically you only see cars really late at night.
Yeah, yeah,
They're
yeah.
going in there, so
I
it's
think I know
completely
what place
different.
you're talking
Yeah,
about.
that it's across the street. And so I mean, as I didn't, I mean, even if I, as a single woman or married woman, I didn't go in because it was considered a bad place. But I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know, like I had never heard of. I mean, I've seen the shop, but I really didn't know much about it.
Mhm, mhm.
And I'm absolutely fascinated with it because it
Aw,
shouldn't be taboo. It should be
yeah.
something that women can talk about. But like I said, I grew up with a very, very traditional um Hispanic family, and
Mhm, mhm.
not it was not a talk. It was bad. Don't
Yeah.
talk about it. And I don't want to. Yeah, I definitely don't feel that way. But I feel like it's. I saw some pictures. I went and looked on line and saw some of the stuff he had, and I'm like, oh wow, it's really welcoming. Like it's
Yeah.
not something you'd walk in, because when I pictured walking into other, like I would assume adult
Mhm,
stores, you
mhm,
do walk like this, and I don't want to touch anything because I'm afraid
mhm,
it's
mhm,
not
mhm.
clean. So I love it. I think it's great.
I just feel like too, like you mentioned, like people getting emotional and that kind of a thing.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, sex isn't the most important part of a relationship, but it's an important part of a relationship.
It is.
And so
Mhm.
Mhm, mhm,
if that is lacking because of medical issues or whatever the case
mhm.
may be, I can only imagine that, finding relief in that aspect of your life would be emotional for some of these people,
Mhm,
And so I just think that's so
mhm.
nice that they can go into a place where they feel safe. Um,
Mhm.
and have those sort of revelations.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I had never thought of the whole cancer radiation type. I mean, obviously HPV was very prevalent. Obviously now we have a lot of education with early teens getting vaccines now, which is a great thing. But in college, I mean, when I was in college, I mean, in the early 2000s and late 90s, it was not talked about. And now
Mhm.
women my age are finding out they had it, they never know it, and they end up having cervical cancer and stuff, then having to go through procedures. And it's uncomfortable, and it's uncomfortable for, I'm told, a long period of time. And then you're scared of being intimate with your spouse,
Yeah.
because it's not comfortable, not knowing there's resources out there to make that process less painful,
Yes.
and more bearable. But yeah, because I don't think I've ever heard of someone talking about having a dilator. For example, I
Yeah.
know people who went through radiation that I remember them talking about how it really hurt their relationship in the long run because they were unable to be intimate with their spouse for a very, very long time, and it was very uncomfortable. So, and I don't think they ever knew about resources to go find to
Yeah.
help out. Mhm.
Yeah. And I like the other taboo thing is like lubricant, like, oh, I don't need lubricant. I'm too young for that. And I'm like, yeah, but and so when we talk to people, it's like age, time of the month, childbirth, everything affects your natural lubricant. Stress,
Yeah.
this is a big part of your body, and if you're stressed out, that may affect your lubricant, or it's not working with in sync with, okay, no, I feel like I'm there, but I'm not. But I'm like, lubricant, we have stuff that imitates your body's natural fluids. No one's gonna know. Doesn't have a flavor, doesn't have a scent, it absorbs into the skin, but it can be changing for you to have that, just a bottle of lubricant, and something that's safe and something that can work well with your body, that isn't going to cause a yeast infection or irritation or whatnot.
Yeah.
um, and then all the, other items, when I talk to pelvic floor doctors, they're like, people don't think about vibration as a, yes, most people think vibration's a good thing, right? But think about But think about, using it on your muscles, how it relaxes your muscles. Think about if you're having, if you're having some kind of pelvic issues and you're having tightness or whatnot, you're using something that you're putting inside that kind of vibrates, it kind of stimulates some muscles. It's going to make you feel good. It's getting the blood circulating. So vibration can be an added benefit. There could be other benefits. I was just going to say, when we were in lockdown, people always ask like, oh my gosh, how did COVID go for you? And I said, it is what it is. It was horrible. As far as the business side though, like people were either at home eating, drinking, or having sex, right? Looking for a way to de-stress themselves because they got their kids that they're trying to figure out how they're going to become a teacher and work at the same time, right? And so people were like, people were calling to the store and they were like, because we had the work cell phone with us, and they were like, y'all are essential. Why are y'all not open? And I'm like, I converted the website to where we could do shipping, and I was out meeting people at Walmart and HEB for stuff, and we were all over town delivering, because the whole thing, the city at first was like, you cannot do curbside pickup. You can deliver and you can ship it, but we don't want people out. So yeah, it was kind of, and we're following the rules. We're all about following the rules and being.
You could
good.
go to a restaurant, forget the food.
Well, no. At first, when we were in first lockdown, from March until May, something like that. Yeah, the city was like, there's no curbside pickup. There's no, but we could able to ship, and then gas was so inexpensive, delivering stuff all over town, and so, I was like, no, I'm gonna, cause we're going to keep on rocking and rolling, and, and the website and whatnot, but people saw us as essential. Like, no, I need you. I need your products,
Yeah. Do you have any tips? We've talked about how, sex and that sort of thing can be taboo, or people feel that way. Do you have any tips for people to sort of like reduce the anxiety when it comes to talking about this stuff?
I tell people whenever they're like, well, and I go to networking events, I go to different things, and sometimes I get the, oh, you do what? Or you sell what? And then some other people are like, oh my gosh, that's great. Or I've seen your store or whatnot. The ones that are like, I'm like, check out our website, go online, look at our reviews, just give it a chance, and you don't have to, if you want to, I tell people, you come in, I guarantee you it's going to be a welcoming environment. Some people don't even know we have adult items. They come in and they're like, oh my gosh, y'all carry, adult toys. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, I didn't even know. I just came in for some lingerie or some bachelorette stuff or whatnot. But I tell people, just give us a chance. But I've had several people that I've met and they're like, I'm like, you tell me what day you want to come into the store and I will be there. I will be there, and I will be there to welcome you, or if I'm not there, I always tell my staff, like, so this person's going to come in, and my employees are all great. They're all about, hey, welcome in. Have you been to the store? Would you like a tour? Are you looking, we're very customer service. So, but I tell people when they're like, oh my gosh, this store is fabulous, or I didn't know, or, you guys are great. We always ask, like, if you feel comfortable, we would love a review, a Yelp, Google review. I said, because just like you, we're scared to come in, and maybe some other people are feeling like that. And if you write a review, maybe they'll say, oh my gosh. And we hear that all the time. Like, I only came in because y'all have 5 stars. Y'all are the only ones that have 5 stars. Y'all have the best reviews and this and that. So I think kind of telling the community, like, we would love a review from you guys, or telling your friends or family about us. And now it's kind of like, not just a sexual health and wellness, but now we're another resource, and it's for people that maybe are looking for products, whether their children are transitioning, or, and so we carry binders, and we have lubricant, and we also have a sex therapist that talks to children. And so we refer them to her as well. So yeah, because people are like, I don't know where, my child needs, some stuff, and I don't know where to go. We don't have an age limit. We put on the door 18 and older, and it's because we don't want people necessarily bringing in their toddlers, and no one wants to hear a crying baby while you're looking for a sex toy, but,
feels the mood.
Yeah, definitely. We don't want anybody coming into our, we do classes and stuff like that, and I can go through that in a little bit, but any age can come in. So we've had people, like 17, 18-year-olds come in with their with their parents and be like, my child's going off to college and I want them to have safe sex products, or, I want to empower them and get them a toy, and for them not to rush into anything, any feel pressured or anything. I want them to take care of themselves or enjoy their body. And they've done research. So, there's a lot of times that people have contacted us or come in or whatever, and they've done their own research on, on talking to your children about sex, and we've also have had presentations too, because sometimes people don't know, like, what age should I start talking to my children about sex? How do I make this conversation? Because the nowadays, back, I know probably when we all went to school, the internet wasn't so, the way it is now. Now everybody's finding everything on Google. They can just Google, look up YouTube. There's a lot of misinformation out there. So
Right.
I think it's great that people are like trying to be proactive. Like, how do I be the best parent as far as for sexual advice to my
Or
child?
information, like,
Information, period. Yep. And whether that be for their grandchildren or nieces, or it could be anybody, just education, period.
I think it's
Right.
probably one of the hardest conversation I've had. I have boys, but even with boys, I want them to understand between women and men, and how this works, and what happens. And I said, I always come to me, and I will answer it as honestly as I can. And there's been times I'm like, I'll circle back. Well, I'll get back to you on that one. I said, I don't know the answer, but I'll figure it out, because I want them to come, because you can find anything on the internet, check stuff, and it might not be accurate.
Yep.
So that's great. I love the fact that you provide resources. Like, if I'm a mom, like, I don't know how to tell my son XYZ. How do I share that? Because it's a hard topic, as they get to be preteens and into teenagers, there's more info. They know more stuff than we do sometimes. And they have access to stuff that, we didn't have access to, like you were saying. So that's great to have those resources, at least, walking in and say, hey, I don't know how to talk to my child about this. How do I do that? And have some resources for them. So that's great.
Yeah. And you mentioned classes. So what does that look like?
So our event room, when we opened it in 2018, I noticed that, prior to that, ever since we opened, we've always had some kind of classes or events or parties. But in my store, I really didn't have a lot of space. We would usually do them after hours. We close at 8. So we'd have them in the evening and move chairs around, or I'd do rentals and this and that. And so I had noticed, I was like, okay, people are asking for classes and I don't have enough space to do it. And so then the space next to me, they wind up moving further down the shopping center. I wind up getting that space. So I was like, okay, let's look at how we're going to do this. Let's ask for feedback. So we had a lot of people that would come in, and then sometimes they'd be asking the same questions, like, whether it be like, hey, what are your, I'm interested in toys, but like, can you go through them? Well, yeah. So then we start doing toy classes, and then we start doing, what other class? We do like game nights. So for instance, this Friday, we're doing a naughty loteria night, which is a Mexican bingo. And you win toys, right? You win toys. We play some loteria. We'll have some food and drinks. We do a dirty bingo night. Play bingo, you win some toys, and then we do like trivia night. We do a fellatio class. We do a cunnilingus class. We do what else do we do? I have I have the doctors that come in and do presentations. So next month in May, I believe I'm having Holly Hernandez. She's a pelvic floor doctor. She's going to come in and talk about sex after children, and talking about your body and how it changes and whatnot. So every month we always have different classes. We do have different, and it's not just us teaching them. I'll have sex therapists come in and teach them, or I'll have doctors come in and do presentations, and we do them in store and online. And so we always have a variety of classes. One of my friends is a yoga instructor, and she primarily focuses on pelvic floor exercises while you're doing yoga. So we're doing that in May as well. And so, I have a variety of different classes, and every month it changes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that's so
good.
much fun.
Yeah. And a lot of good information.
Yeah.
And some of the classes are free. Some of them we charge. If we charge, usually we have, drinks or snacks or goodie bags or whatnot. But it's all about, having fun and learning. And then we also, our event center, you can also run it out for private parties or bachelorette parties or bride to be, or just because we also have mixers that happen in our event center too. I've had different mixers happen, and it's great because then people are like, I only came because the mixer was here, but I wanted to check out the store. It gives people an excuse to come in. And then once they're in, they're like, oh man, this is fun, or this is, no big deal or whatnot. I just try to normalize it as much as I can. And that's the other thing, when people come in, they're like, okay, I have a question. Is this normal? And I'm like, there's no such thing, like throw out the normal part, just as long as you're not hurting yourself or hurting anybody, but people have questions. And I think next month I am going to do a, ask a sex educator, and it's going to be on Zoom. They can submit their questions. I'm working on all the specifics on that, but pretty much they can submit their questions via email, and then we're going to fishbowl them out and just ask questions. And and it's going to be webinars. No one's going to be on there, just me and my staff. And we're just going to have a conversation about things that people may ask, or questions. And then I think it's kind of good, because you may have had that same question, like, oh, I didn't think about that. Like, or, oh yeah, I wanted to ask that. So yeah.
Well, and by doing it that way, you have people who might be embarrassed, and like they think it's not normal. Is this normal? They can ask that, and still be, in private, and have their questions answered.
Yes.
So that's great. Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah, that is good.
I think it's good. Yeah.
Well, we always ask people what their favorite thing is about their career. And I'm so curious what your favorite thing is.
My favorite thing, gosh, I have so many. I'm very passionate about my business. People are, I love what I do. I love educating. I love empowering people. I love when they're like, oh my gosh, because I tell people, don't knock it till you try it. You may try it, but you can be trying to, like, oh my gosh, my life is never going to be the same, or totally change my life, or whatnot. And we have all ages that come in. People are like, so what is your demographics? I'm like, mainly women, but we do have couples and we do have men. And it's so funny. Yeah. When the men come in and buy stuff, whether it be for them or their, spouse or partner, whatever, they'll tell us, like, I know I like coming over here because y'all are great customer service, and you don't feel nasty or dirty or uncomfortable when you come in here. Men say that. We hear that all the time. But I just went off on another tangent there. But I'm very passionate. I'm very about empowering. What's my favorite thing? Gosh, I don't know. I like checking out all the new stuff that comes out, and kind of seeing, like, oh, this is super cool, or oh my gosh, like, I've never, seen this or whatnot. I go to conventions about 2 to 3 times a year. We go to Vegas, LA, and sometimes Colorado. And it's so fun being around other business owners and manufacturers, and hearing, stories and whatnot. It's fun. It's a great industry.
Well, Amy, I think it's so inspirational, even though I like I said, I love the idea of the shop and stuff, but the fact that you had started in a career, and you're like, hey, this is my side hustle, and you truly went into a passion. And it's yes, it's a job, but it's not. It's truly a career for you, and you enjoy it. So that's always inspiring to see a working mom have that, because there's so many of us out there that I love my job, but it's not my passion.
Right.
So
I'm
that's
just
awesome.
doing it just to do it. Yeah.
Right.
I tell people, if you're passionate, try to do it. If you can make it work, or, let it be your side thing, or, something that you look forward to doing. But yes.
Yeah. No, that's great. I love that. And then lastly, we just want you to tell us how our listeners can get a hold of you and reach you when they want to do that.
So we do have 2 stores. If you're local in San Antonio, we have one in the medical center area. We also have one off of Petranco near 1604. Our website, theloveshackboutique.com, has all of our information. We're on all social media. You can either look up The Love Shack Boutique. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube. We're really trying to get more YouTube content on there, but we do Instagram Reels, and we kind of make it funny and educational. So it's both products, events, and then look at these funny videos. I mean, so we're on all social media, our website, in stores. So yeah.
Perfect. Okay, well, that's great. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on here.
Yay.
I learned a lot of information, and this was a super fun one.
It was definitely.
So I love that. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in to this episode of the Working Moms of San Antonio podcast. And we'll just catch all you guys next week.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Working Moms of San Antonio podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media at our respective Instagram accounts or join our Working Moms of San Antonio Facebook group. Those links can be found in our episode description. If you have an episode topic suggestion or question, please email us at office@radisagent.com. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. See you next week.